Why is it that the most basic of human needs, like drinking enough water, eating well, and moving our bodies, can feel so hard to do? 8 cups of coffee, not a problem. A bottle of wine, easy, especially when I was in my drinking days. But water? Water was something I reserved for workouts or after big drinking nights or sips that you take out of politeness at dinner before the actual drinks come. I didn't realize then that what was stopping me from actual self-care wasn't just a lack of discipline or knowledge. It was something deeper. For years, I thought that self-care was a bi-weekly mani-pedi, monthly hair appointments, especially when I was dyeing it dark to hide the gray hairs, or a massage every once in a while. Sure, I would feel absolutely amazing after each of those things, especially after a haircut. And I think some of you will know what I mean. Once you get past staring at yourself in the mirror for hours, wondering why you look like a Muppet or a grimace, you walk out feeling fresh and bouncy. And then if you're anything like I was, you'd be scheduling a dinner or a date for afterwards because you feel so fresh. And getting my nails done was something that kept me from destroying my thumbs because I was one of those anxious pickers, especially when I was really stressed. But those feelings never lasted. I'd find myself back into the same cycle of overwhelm, of negative self-talk and stress. Those moments of self-care were great, but also surface level. They were temporary fixes that never addressed the root of what was really going on. Over time, of course, my definition of self-care has evolved. It has stopped being about occasional indulgences and it started becoming about something more foundational. It's become a multi-pronged approach that supports my mental, physical, energetic, and emotional health. For my physical health, I love moving my body in ways that feel good. I lift weights, I do Pilates, I do yoga, I take daily walks, I try and get my 7,000 steps in. I drink my water, like regularly, not just for workouts, but actually regularly. I eat well 80% of the time, and that leaves me room for joy and a little bit of flexibility. And I have practices like an infrared sauna, a cold plunge, and of course, breath work. For my mental and emotional health, I'm journaling to process my thoughts. I'm anchoring myself into the present moment. I'm creating intentional stillness amidst anything that's going on in my life, especially the chaos. And then I'm fulfilling my soul by building deep connections and community. For my energetic health, it's breath work again. Like, trust me on this, is one of the most foundational effective modalities I have found. Like, it's that good. And somatic movement to release stored tension, trauma, and stress. When I don't do these, which is very rare, I feel off kilter. I feel like I've left the stove on or something. There's something that feels like it's missing. And it hasn't always been that way. I wasn't somebody who naturally drank water or moved her body or prioritized herself. I had to learn, and the process was messy. Like, I've tried running. I really wanted to be a runner, but I'm absolutely not built for it. And of course, I went through cycles of extreme effort, working out obsessively or following really strict or fad diets, only to fall off completely because it was too much. I battled that all or nothing kind of mentality where any slip up would throw me into a spiral of guilt, shame, and self-sabotage, and thinking like, well, what's the point of doing any of it? And then there were the times that I was just checking the boxes because we know how good that feels. I'm practically meditating with one eye open, rushing through routines, and then wondering why I was still feeling stuck. Although, like, I still felt proud because I was doing the thing. But then on the inside, I felt still unchanged. And it wasn't until I started shifting my beliefs and my identity that everything changed. Now, our beliefs are very powerful drivers of our behavior. What we believe about our worth shapes what we allow ourselves to do or achieve. And for a long time, I had something subconsciously that I was punishing myself for, like past mistakes. I was carrying this hidden belief that I wasn't actually worthy of feeling good or succeeding. Now, when I started to unpack and rewrite those beliefs, that's when things shifted. I realized that staying in my comfort zone was no longer safe. It was actually suffocating me. I had to choose between the discomfort of staying stuck and the discomfort of growing. And here's the thing, and I see this all the time with my clients too. Transformation starts at the belief level. If we don't address the stories that are driving our actions, progress is going to feel like you're constantly working uphill. But when we rewrite those stories and align them with who we want to become, we move from impossible to inevitable. Now, we can't talk about self-care without talking about guilt, and specifically the guilt that often comes with it. I'm sure you're familiar with the feeling. You're taking a moment to breathe or rest or simply enjoy yourself. And then it sneaks in, this nagging voice in your head saying, you should be doing more. You haven't earned this. And maybe you've experienced this when you're resting while someone else in your family is working, or when you've taken time for yourself, but you still feel like it wasn't enough to justify what you've done already. And that guilt can be so strong that it makes you question whether prioritizing yourself is even worth it in the first place. I want to tell you something that took me years to truly understand. Like, I really thought it was just one of those lines that I kept hearing in like the wellness space. Self-care isn't selfish. In fact, it's actually one of the most selfless things that you can do. Because when you take time to recharge mentally, physically, emotionally, you're not just doing it for yourself. You're actually doing it for the people around you. I mean, think about it. When you're exhausted, overwhelmed, or running on empty, how do you tend to show up for the people that you care about? If you're like me, your patience is really thin, you have no energy, and your ability to actually fully connect is gone. On the other hand, when you allow yourself time to rest, heal, and rejuvenate, you show up as your best self with more energy, more love, and more focus to give. Literally, your capacity increases. So why does self-care trigger guilt for so many of us? A lot of it can come down to the belief that productivity equals worth. Our society has done a really good job of conditioning us to believe that if we're not doing something useful or outwardly contributing, we're falling short. And this is especially true for women, caregivers, and for anyone juggling multiple roles. There's this unspoken expectation to always be on, always be doing, and always be giving. The truth is, though, rest is actually the most productive thing that you can do. It fuels creativity, problem solving, and resilience. It's not just an indulgence, it's a necessity. But still, that guilt will creep in. And when it does, it has a sneaky way of making you even minimize your efforts. Like maybe you took the morning to meditate, journal, or go for a nice long walk, and it felt really good at the time. But then you get back and you see somebody else has been working or managing tasks or whatever the case may be. And suddenly what you did feels like it was too much. And like you didn't earn enough to get there. And you find yourself like, I only did X and it's nothing compared to what they're doing and they're not resting. Now, this kind of minimization is a trap. It discounts the energy and effort it takes to actually care for yourself. And it reinforces this false idea that your worth is tied to how much you do. Now, here's a powerful shift that I want you to consider. Instead of viewing self-care as something that takes away from others, I want you to see it as an investment in how you contribute. When you're well rested, when you're nourished, when you're aligned, you're able to show up more fully in literally every single part of your life. You're more present in your relationships, you're more focused in your work, you're more patient with your kids, your partner, your coworkers. Self-care becomes the fuel that actually powers everything that you do. And when you honor that, you're also modeling something really important for those around you, especially your kids if you have them. You're showing them that it's okay to prioritize well-being, that rest matters, and that taking care of yourself is not something to feel guilty about it. If guilt is something that you struggle with, I want you to start by asking yourself just this simple question. Who benefits when I'm running on empty? Think about that question, and I'm willing to bet that the answer is no one. Not you, not your family, not your work. But when you actually take the time to care for yourself, everyone wins. Remember that self-care isn't about doing less for others. It's actually doing more for yourself so that you can show up as your best, most grounded, and most present self. Now, the next time you feel that guilt creeping in, try reframing it. Instead of thinking, I'm being lazy or I haven't earned this, I want you to remind yourself that you're recharging so that you can bring your best energy to the people and things that matter most. And I want you to celebrate. I want you to celebrate your self-care wins, no matter how small they might seem, especially if you're first starting out. Whether it's 5 minutes of deep breathing, an hour-long walk, or simply saying no to something that you really don't want to do, these moments are worth celebrating. And I want to remind you also that you deserve to feel good. You deserve to rest. You don't have to earn it. And you deserve to live a life where self-care isn't a luxury, but it's natural and it's an essential part of who you are. If you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure on where to start, I want you to know this. It's not about waiting for motivation. I hear that a lot in my clients. Like, I just don't feel like it, and I'm just waiting until I feel ready or like I want to do it. And that's not going to happen typically. Motivation is unreliable, it's fleeting, and it's influenced by so many factors that are outside of us. Now, what does work? Discipline, right? Making a decision to show up for yourself, even when it's hard. Identity, becoming the person who prioritizes their well-being and not just somebody who tries and checks boxes. And systems, make it simple. Create sustainable habits that you want to do day in, day out. Don't make it overly complicated or overwhelming, because then you will not want to keep doing it. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You can always start small. I'm a big fan of the 1%. Build trust with yourself. Celebrate all of those little steps forward. And most importantly, remind yourself that you deserve to feel good. Now, if you're looking to amplify your self-care rituals and routines, I've actually created a morning ritual package, and it's designed specifically to help you build that foundation, one that supports your mental, physical, and emotional health so that you can move through the day with clarity and ease and intention. It's got a lot of simple tools and practices that I use myself every day and that my clients use every single day to create lasting change. And the best part, it's doable even if you have a really busy schedule. If you still think that you don't have the time, I challenge you on that. Send me an email. Let me know what that impasse is, and I will find a solution for you. So to get this morning ritual package, click the link in the show notes, and let's start creating a life where self-care isn't something that you check off. Like, let's make it something that actually fuels you and transforms you. I want to just remind you that you've got this, and I'm here to help you along the way. If this episode has resonated with you, please give it a like, a review, a rating, share it with your friends who might need a little nudge to a little more self-care. If you want me to go and expand on the different self-care modalities that I use on a daily basis, send me an email, let me know, and I'd be happy to dive into that in future episodes. In the meantime, breathe it in, be deliberate, and please be good to yourself.